So anyone that has been following politics at all knows that globalism is nothing new, and they are constantly trying to create the new narrative, the new ideology, and then they force that upon us through propaganda via the media and news, movies, and everything else, radio, internet. And this has been going on for centuries, eons, a lot longer than anyone might actually think. And this brings me to Easter. Now, when Christianity took over with the Roman Empire, became the Holy Roman Empire, they eliminated all of the now what they call pagan. And I hate using that word because that is a Christian term, right? Kind of like Hillary Clinton likes to use the one term deplorables, right? It's the same thing. So we will not use their negative terminology to denote what transpired prior to Christianity. And this is very important that we look at it from virgin eyes that do not have the corruption, good or bad, of the Christian doctrine or any other religious doctrine. We need to go back to, and again, for lack of better terminology, the pagan ways, which in reality are the ways of we the people prior to the globalist takeover with one of the earliest empires, the Holy Roman Empire, which we're still now in that thing. If you remember, Hitler was the Fourth Reich or the Third Reich, right? And America seems to be the Fourth Reich right now, and this is what they keep doing. And so the First Reich was the Holy Roman Empire, and then there was the Roman Empire, then there was the Second Reich, and then the Third. And you see what these globalists do, and they do it in plain sight right in front of us. So let's get back to Easter. Easter is a great holiday celebrated across the globe. Why do you think that is? Well, it's that way because it's what we used to do before the globalist takeover, before the globalist hijacking happened eons ago. And it was to commemorate the parking of the moon and the seeding of the planet, to terraform it into what it is now, using the pyramids as an intermediary to relay information back to the moon so the moon could self-correct itself and make its adjustments. Everyone knows that all, and again, for lack of better terminology, pagan holidays are based around lunar cycles. So, again, like I keep stating in my series, the Pyramid Moon Connection and everything else, we would not have astrology. We would not have a calendar. We would not have any of those things that all of us hold so dear as to keeping our clockwork ticking in our time, and to denote what year's what and when we're at what stage of our seasons. All of that could only happen by seeding this planet with parking the moon where we parked it. That's the only way any of that can happen. And so to commemorate that huge thing that we did in ancient history, we set up all of these holidays based around the lunar cycles. And as you know, Christianity hijacked the two biggest ones, and again, all the other ones, including St. Patrick's, which is about running the snakes off, and we'll get into that in another podcast. The snakes are just the reptilian earth creatures that were here prior to the seeding of the planet. So here we are at Easter. It's based off of the first Sunday after a full moon. And while the Earth takes up to 365.25 days to orbit the Sun, the Moon only takes 29.5 days to orbit the Earth. Now, all you mathematical geniuses can compute all the mathematical logical out of it, which is where we get all of our astrology and our connection to the planets and everything else. So a lunar year is 354.3 days. There's a 10 or 11 day lag between the two, and that would explain why the dates of Easter always differ so much from year to year because it is exclusively based on the moon and when the last full moon was. In 725, Beebe succinctly wrote, "The Sunday following the full moon, which falls on or after the equinox, will give the lawful Easter." Boom. So it became law, right? It became law. And this is what I keep saying. They took all of the historical things that we did when we knew what we did. We knew the moon was artificial. We knew the pyramids connected to it, and we're sending back the signals to keep the moon on track. All of us knew all that. But then that information got distributed amongst only the tippy top over time as they were able to, over time people seem to forget things. They get caught up in this new world we created, all this new abundance that we have on this planet. And the moon's right in front of us. How could anyone ever forget that we parked it there and put it there? It's there in plain sight for everyone to see. So Easter is determined on the basis of lunisolar cycles. And the lunar year consists of a 30-day, 29-day lunar months, generally alternating with an embolismic month added periodically to bring the lunar cycle into line with the solar cycle. In each solar year, 1st of January to 31st of December, the lunar month beginning with an ecclesiastical new moon. Boom. So they made it legal, and then they brought their Christianity into it, and they took away what was common knowledge in the pagan era, right? Which is that the moon is artificial and it is there to control the seasons of this planet. It does that by controlling the water and how it shifts the water and the weight of this planet from where it needs to go to where it needs to be. And it does that with minute adjustments that are relayed back to the moon via the pyramids. Now, those at the tippy top know these things, and those that don't know are about to find out because we're breaking this information wide open. So please like, subscribe, and tell your friends all about the pyramid moon connection and why all of the holidays are based around this connection. And Easter being the one that fluctuates the most because it's not on a hardcore date that they were able to do on the other one. See, they couldn't get away with that and cheat on this one. No sirree, Bob. They actually got stuck. And because of that, we can decipher stuff. People that want to look up history and people that want to look up these things, look up the Pro-Selene era. Pro-Selene, right? And you'll hear about all what happened here on this planet prior to the moon. Yes. It's actually talked about, it's documented, it's there. But all of this stuff is hidden from those that don't choose to look. And again, what would you even look for? Like I stated, and as you already know, as we call it now, the left is hell-bent on changing the language, changing the jargon, and then implementing the new ways into the media. And this has been going on, like I said, for eons. It didn't just start with your generation. It didn't just start 2 generations ago. This is something that is ongoing, and it's going to continue. So if you think that we're going to win the culture war and all this is going to disappear, you're highly disillusioned because they can never let the truth out. The problem is it becomes like the OK Corral. Nobody even knows what they're fighting over. They don't even know what the truth is anymore. They just know that they're in power and they want to keep that power. I don't really care about the power. They can keep it. I'm here to reveal the truth about the pyramid moon connection, because by that revelation, it proves that this planet was united in peace and we were all one, and that the governments and the people in power, I don't even want to use governments because a government is a document and a document is benign. But the people that abuse this power have taken it upon themselves to rule this planet. Now, I don't like using the term pagan because, like I said, that's their term. And you can see what happened to those that wanted to keep the traditional ways of understanding this knowledge and passing it down. Now, if you want to know why they used to destroy certain things, like only certain things, like seriously, when you look at the Aztecs and the Mayans, none of their own stuff that they wrote down exist. They were ordered to be destroyed, and what we have now are the recreations that the Spanish did to explain that and to put it in their own terms. Okay? Why would they erase something if these people were so effing stupid that they could only build grass huts? Right? Why? Because they know that that's not the case. When you look at these pyramids and all of these other old temples, they're connected to underground passages, and more importantly, as everyone knows, everywhere across the planet, all of these things are aligned, not only astronomically, but with the earth chakras and with the earth centers and with the ley lines. And obviously, if these people were not that well, if they couldn't even make a fire and they're building grass huts, then obviously they wouldn't be able to do all that. So they're giving you a false illusion of what your history is. They've changed reality. We're all indigenous to this planet, by the way. All of us are indigenous to the entire planet. Not, this person came from here and this person came from there and this color from over there. No, that's how they've separated us prior to. And remember, anyone that tried keeping the old ways, no matter what color they were, no matter where they lived, were condemned as witches, wizards, and burned at the stake. This is how they treat those that tried to keep the ways of old, that had the knowledge of what is truly going on this planet. This planet is still growing, by the way. This planet that when we seeded it, we named the entire planet Atlantis. This planet's name is Atlantis. And it was a gift to all of us when we had to leave our other home, which was destroyed. Now this planet's facing the same thing, and we're left with the same set of choices, that we have to prepare another satellite to go and find another planet for us to seed. And this becomes the great Groundhog Day cycle that happens over and over and over again. But on top of that, this planet itself is stuck in a 72,888 year cycle, give or take a couple years, decade or two per cycle, because it fluctuates like a teeter-totter, like a top. All of those things fluctuate. And that is what the pyramids monitor and relay that information back to the moon, so the moon can self-correct its course and keep this planet on the correct trajectory. No one has landed on the moon. And the goal is never to land on the moon, but he or she who can walk through the eye of a needle, who possesses the right mentality of thinking, can transport themselves into the moon. There is a man in the moon, right? That's a metaphor that goes back. And look at all the old romance things and everything that to the past. Is not a moon in every picture? Do not they always talk about moon? When it comes to magic, is it not centered around the moon? Why do you think all this is? It's because going back to our original peoples, us indigenous peoples, all of us indigenous prior to the left-wing, takeover, which is governments everywhere, starting with, Egyptian, right? And they had their slaves. That's a form of ruling over the people. It's like the pharaohs kept the knowledge and kept it from those. And then those pharaohs gave that knowledge to those that became the kings. And then kings became, governments, and those governments became presidents and premiers and first ladies and this, that, and the other. And so nothing's changed. We can change, again, the dialogue or the jargon as to how we label these things. But those that know have been keeping those that don't know from knowing. And my contention is, in this day and age, those in power don't even know. And that brings us to ancient Sumeria. Now, I know a lot of people have studied ancient Sumeria and the King's List, the tablets of Thoth, all of these things from ancient Samaria. And now, why is Samaria important when it comes to Easter? Well, because the original Easter holiday started with Ostre, right? Which was a Sumerian holiday. And so it dates back to the Sumerian times. And they started this because they're the ones that parked the moon here. They're the ones that built the pyramids. They're the ones that set up the system that we revolve around the galaxy in, that created our star system, gave us the North Star that our Christmas holiday is based on, gave us the astrology and the astronomy and everything else. And remember, all navigation is based off of that. So Samaria and ancient Sumerians, and people haven't been able to figure out the king's list, and I keep trying to explain that it's very easy. The satellite moon, by the time it found this planet to seed with the DNA protocol of its home world, which is us, we are the alien, human beings, animals, fish, all of this life form, pretty much none of it existed till we terraformed this planet and seeded it. That civilization became known as Samaria over time. That's not what it was known to them, but that's how it got named and labeled over time. Here on this planet, now known as Earth, and Earth is not a name. This planet's name is Atlantis. And the Great Flood inundated the entire planet. And from that came all the myths. But getting back to the king's list, they don't understand how each of these kings could have ruled for so long. 14,000 years, 26,000 years, 18,000 years, 20,000 years. How could that be? Well, when we seeded the planet, we were a lot bigger than what we had to tone the DNA down to. This planet was not as large as our original planet. And initially, the arrivers stayed on the poles. And as you know, the poles will give you 6 months day, 6 months night. That was one day to them. You're monkey in the middle doing all the hard work. They're on the poles living years beyond what is imaginable. So if 6 months and 6 months, 1 year equals 1 day, then you're living 365 days to their 1 day. Now, as we all know, over history, there have been remains found that have been trying to be disclaimed, discredited, debunked of giants. But no matter where you go on this planet, every ancient race, every ancient civilization talks about the giants that used to roam and rule the earth. Well, of course they did. They seeded this planet. And they lived on the poles where 1 year to them was as 1 day to the little people. And when you look at the hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt, you will see the big people and the little people. And they kept conducting DNA tests on everyone so that we could blend everyone to all become the earth mutts that we are now. We are all now indigenous. They created Easter. They were the great giants that built the pyramids, parked the moon, built the moon as a satellite from their home world, our home world, found this planet that was thought to be uninhabited, but unfortunately it was uninhabited. And this is where everything went wrong. And this has been up for debate for so long. So when they scanned the planet initially, they didn't see any life forms. Therefore, they thought it would be okay to terraform this planet and make it a home for ourselves. Our ancestors did this. No one can escape this. If you're alive living today and listening to this, or you're just alive today, your ancestor did this. There's no escaping it. Unfortunately, the life forms that were living here were well concealed inside the planet. And when the terraforming started happening, then those within the planet started coming upwards, whereas before they were not allowed because there was no terraforming. They got all of their everything to make sustainable life from within this planet Earth. But after the moon got parked here, which was an ancient satellite from another planet sent out to find another home base to create life, which is us today, which is why we celebrate Easter, why we celebrate Christmas. That's why those are two of the biggest holidays of the year everywhere on the planet. And now you know the reason why. It's our rebirth. It's us. We seeded this planet. We are the Christ. We are the everything when it comes to Christmas. Not when it comes to God above. No one's claiming that, so stop going there. But this is what it's all about. Finding this planet, rebirthing this planet, and making it our new home. And now evil has taken over. They're dividing the people that once was united. That's us. And they're trying to separate us by, oh, your skin color's different, therefore you must hate one another. Oh, look, your hair color's different, therefore you must hate one another. Oh, your eyes slant differently, therefore you must hate one another. Oh, your skin's too pale, everyone must hate that person. Why? What's up with the division? Is this really what we want from the people supposedly controlling our, society today? And guess what? As we stated earlier, government is benign and it comes down to a document. And that document holds the true power that they don't want we the people, to understand that we hold. So I'm not sure which country you're listening from, but here in the United States, the two-party dictatorship, the duopoly monopoly, has had a stranglehold on this country and is choking it and killing it. And it's been doing so pretty much 25, 30, 50 years after its inception. It may have started as something legit, but as everything is, it gets hijacked by those that have more money but have ill will. All right, guys, this was more about Easter. We can go into the evildoers in another podcast. If you like what you're hearing, if you're not hearing this kind of commentary anywhere else, if you're having revelations you've never heard of before about the Pyramid Moon connection and no one else is talking about it, well, there's a reason why. And that's why you need to subscribe, pass along the information, and talk about it amongst yourselves. Am I full of shit? Do I even know what I'm talking about? Let's get this dialogue up and going. Anyway, thank you for listening. This is Musicians, Politicians, Magicians. Older.